all the shifts, it's not old time.
So Emily Elam, thank you very much for being on Oldtime Central.
You bet. Glad to be here.
We are here in Mountain View, Arkansas at the Ozark Folk Center. And I understand you have a long history here, but can you tell me how you got into playing music?
You bet. So I grew up in Mountain View, and I grew up listening to all the music that we have here. I learned to dance as soon as I could walk, and I took some of my first steps trying to dance on the Folk Center stage. So I've always loved the music, but we have a program here called the Music Roots Program. It starts in the public schools in our district at 4th grade, at age 9 I believe. And the students receive free lessons on instruments that they can borrow from the program. They don't have to have their own. And the teachers go in once a week and teach them to play all these traditional instruments. And so not only do the students pick up these skills, not just in music, but in performance eventually, and working with other people, playing in bands and whatnot. And then it keeps the old time music alive as well. So we have, tons of youth performing and playing this music, and I was fortunate enough to come up through that program and learn the traditional fiddle that way.
And that's at the elementary school here, or?
It starts in elementary. Well, I guess it's classified as, elementary. And by the time the students are in high school, they're usually ready to go into one of their own bands, and we book them at the Folk Center. The youth groups have an amazing sound. It's not like you're booking a junior band. They're very mature performers and do an excellent job. So.
And are they then music teachers from the school who teach the lessons, or are they also private teachers from outside?
It's musicians in the community that we get to come in and teach those lessons.
Wow, that's amazing. And do you know, I'm sure this is a great fascination to other music educators, like how many students roughly they have every year?
I want to say it's over 100.
Over 100?
All
in
told.
In a town of less than 3,000?
2,700, give or take, yeah. So in our district, we have about 100 students enrolled, more or less.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
It really is. It's fantastic, how many are interested in it. So.
And what was it like to be in that program? I mean, what was the progression like? What did you learn?
It was, it's always wild at first because you're handing out fiddles to 9-year-olds,
right.
So what do you expect? The first year is really an introduction to this is what the instrument is, here's what you can do, here's the very, very basics. The ones that stick with it in the next year are where you really start seeing the progress as a musician. That's where they start to really learn to control their instruments.
Sure.
So the first year is always kind of wild. And then, by the second or third year, at that point, the ones that are really interested, we try to get them in some workshops. And they're not only there with other Music Roots students, but also with adults who play. And they get to learn from teachers that are out of town, which is a very different experience for them. So for me, that was the point at which I was like, I want to play old time music. I took some old time workshops. I loved the community. I saw the group of people that was there sharing all this music, and even though I was 10, I was like, yep, that's what I want to do. I want to be a part of that. So.
Because it's not just old time that's taught in the program, is that right?
Most of our teachers do play primarily old time, but lots of our students go on to play bluegrass because we give them kind of a foundation that they can take to learn any folk style.
All right. That's cool. So. Okay. And you also got recently really involved with Billy Matthews.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. So it's because of Music Roots that I took Billy's workshop. My first teacher, Shay Poole, said, Fiddle and Banjo Billy Matthews is going to be here, and you're taking his workshop. And I was terrified.
How old were you?
I was probably 10, I think, 9 or 10.
Okay.
I was very shy. I was really quiet. I already loved the fiddle, but I was really nervous about taking a workshop with a bunch of other people. And I went to the jam first before the workshop started, and that's where I saw that old-time community that I knew I wanted to be involved in. I had so much fun just listening to the jam that night. All these fiddlers playing at once. It was an Onion-style jam. So you have the little group and the core and then the layers. It was in an old-fashioned bed and breakfast, a historical building here in Mountain View. And everyone was crammed in the parlor, and it was just an amazing sound.
Right.
For that I had never heard. I'd heard performances here, but I hadn't ever actually been in the middle of a jam session.
Right.
And so hearing all this music coming at me from all these directions, everyone playing the melody at once, it was strong and full,
Right.
and I loved the sound. I was hooked.
Okay.
Then I took the workshop, and I didn't learn the tunes probably that day. I really tried hard, but it was very difficult. I
Sure.
just started playing,
Yeah.
and but I loved the tunes that were taught, loved the way they sounded. And so Billy came back again in the fall, and then again the next February, and he came back again every year, and I took the workshop every year. So after about 10 years, I'd learned a whole lot of tunes from Billy.
Right.
And that's where he started working on his 500 Fiddle Tunes project.
Right.
And he started in 2007, I believe, recording all these tunes he knew. And I thought that was just pretty darn cool, that he was recording 500 tunes. To me, that was amazing. So I bought some of the CDs and started learning them that way.
Right.
3, 4.
And then in college, I had the bright idea that for my final project, I would write down all 500 tunes. I had transcribed things from my students up until that point, but I loved Billy's playing and his style, and I wanted to do something with him for my final project. And I thought, what's not been done in this community that could contribute tunes back to these people that
Sure.
I've. And a lot of the workshop participants I noticed really needed the notation to remember the tunes when they got home.
Right.
And so then I started transcribing 500 fiddle tunes, and then I spent a whole lot of time with Billy
I'm sure.
working on those. So
And so you would transcribe them and then show them to him, or play them back the way you transcribed them, or?
I would play them back to him the way I transcribed them,
Okay.
which is a little risky because it's easy for me to play it like my brain says it is, not necessarily like it is written exactly. But my computer can play me the MIDI file also.
Sure.
So sometimes I would listen to that and be sure, double check with that, let it
Right.
play it for us
Right.
to check timing and whatnot.
Right. And I mean, it's interesting to me, going through all that effort to transcribe tunes is something that very few fiddlers do.
Mm-hmm.
Very few old-time musicians do. Maybe ethnomusicologists, but not musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering what you got out of it. What you found valuable in doing all of that.
I learned a lot of tunes. For one thing, for my part, I learned a ton of tunes. I already knew a lot of the ones I'd transcribed, but I learned a lot of the ones I didn't. And so that was really rewarding because I wouldn't have necessarily picked out all those, and I found I really liked them. And also, for me, it was really important to give Billy something tangible that he can give to people, and that documents those tunes and gets every note just like it is.
Right.
And for me, it's being inclusive of other people. I know there are people that either they think they can't or they don't want to learn by ear, and I don't think that's a reason to exclude them from old time music.
Right.
And so it's really rewarding to see people, as I was just talking about this project with them, who are really excited to be able to learn these tunes.
Right.
So
That's cool. Okay, well, it sounds like you've spent a lot of your life playing old-time music, so this might be a tricky question, which is why spend so much time on old-time and with the old-time community?
Because it's the people I like. I got into it for the people. Really is. I love the music and I love the style, and I can sit and listen to field recordings for days, and I'm happy. But it's the social aspect that first got me in it and has kept me in it. This particular community here in Mountain View, I just loved, and I wanted to spend time with the people who were playing it. And so what you do is you learn to play it.
Right.
So for me, that was a lot of it. And then I really got into the, like, oh my gosh, this bowing is so cool, and the details,
Right.
came later.
Cool. What are you excited about right now in terms of the music, or what do you think, what would you like to see in the future?
Good question. I would like to see the community grow and mature. I would like to see people enjoying old time that didn't think they could play. I would like to see people that don't play enjoying it in other ways. Learning to dance. I
Right.
spend a lot of time, playing music, and I don't see a whole lot of dancers necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like half of it's missing sometimes because
Right.
we sit around and play to no dancers playing dance tunes. So I would like to see the community grow and develop. Mostly I teach right now is my main focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always excited about teaching young people this music, and watching them get excited about the same things I did as I was learning has been really rewarding of late.
Cool.
So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank
Will
you.
Play a couple tunes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
You bet.
North Carolina Breakdown.
Please stop.